Everything is going digital, including estate planning. Now, what most attorneys have done is kind of grind their teeth and go, oh, legal Zoom, oh, online, no, like the traditional sense, but not Paul. Paul Rabalais is here with us, and he's here to tell us about how he has actually taken the bull by the horns. And instead of going against the current, he's going with it. And in that sense, he has actually developed his own software called My Advocate. And I have Paul here with us, and I also have Jack here with us. And they are the co-founders, including a third named Rudy, but he's not here with us. But now I have Paul and I have Jack. And they're the co-founders of My Advocate. And they're here to tell us about this very beneficial software and why they've created it, and how Paul is an estate planning attorney. He's been an estate planning attorney for 30 years. And what he's done is that he has transformed the in-person experience, all of his years of working with clients in person. And all he's done is just put it into the online sense. He's made it personal online. And so we have him here with us, and we have Jack here with us, and they're here to tell you about this program, about why you should be using it, and how it's so beneficial for you to use. Paul, Jack, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Great to be here, Amy.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. We're all very curious about My Advocate. What is it, and what's the story behind it?
Well, I'd love to give a quick story. And as you mentioned earlier on, I think that we really have a unique team. And so want to spend 30 seconds on that before jumping into our founder story. So our team is comprised of a very, very strong technical mind. Rudy Wolfs, as you mentioned, he's not on the podcast today, but he has 40 years of experience developing software in the financial services world. And I'll get into our family story, but I think it's very important to set the context that he's got this incredible technology mind, and pairing that with Paul's incredible legal expertise and background, we've been able to develop quite a solution.
Paul, did you want to give us your background?
Sure. Yeah. The typical law school, followed by master's in tax law from Boston University's law school. Worked for big law for about 4 years, and then about 25 years ago, started my own law practice. Always focused on that client attraction. Knew that is when I put out my shingle, as they say, I knew that people wouldn't just line up at the door and throw money at me. Some attorneys actually think that's the case. So I really focused on marketing, wrote books, have given somewhere around 1,500 live presentations to consumer audiences, done podcasts, blogs, and then, as we'll discuss later, built a YouTube channel that has a fairly significant following, and I look forward to sharing some information with you about that.
Oh, please. You're so humble. You have 188,000 subscribers. Please. Please. Oh, well, yeah, I was very shocked as someone who's been following your videos for 4 years now. When I saw that you actually created your own software, it's like, oh man, I want to hear about this. Like, why did he go online? I remember thinking that.
Yeah. So kind of like Jack said, I've been doing it the traditional way for 30 years and just saw all of the other similar industries, financial services, tax accounting, go that route towards technology. And I assumed and figured that estate planning was not going to be far behind. So like you mentioned, we spent almost 2 years now taking what has been my traditional client experience that I take people through, and then just moving it into a technology experience. So just like when an attorney asks a client a question and that client says, well, tell me what you mean when you ask me that question. Every question that's asked of a customer in My Advocate, there's a 1 or 2 minute video of me really explaining what that question means and what the different options are. And then we take those answers and route them to the next question, just like good attorneys do, who listen and ask the right questions. We have that same kind of intelligence with the My Advocate software.
Wow, the same kind of intelligence. Absolutely. So you're really holding their hand through the online process as they're creating their own estate planning documents. They're not just left out there to figure it out on their own. So each question they
Yeah,
ask.
it's not a cookie cutter fill in the blank kind of thing. It's not get a will, it's not get a trust. It's let's find out what your biggest concern is, and then let's immediately kind of jump in and make sure we solve those concerns that are most important to you.
Wow. Okay. Well, that just completely lines in with my next question, because when I first heard about My Advocate on one of your videos, it's like, oh man, I wonder if that's like in competition with LegalZoom. And as everyone knows, attorneys don't like LegalZoom because it's so cookie cutter, and it's just like what you said, it's not really that helpful. It's not just like get a will. Well, I don't even know if LegalZoom does trust, but it's mainly, cookie cutter. And so that was going to be my question, was what is the difference between My Advocate and LegalZoom and all those other digital do-it-yourself platforms out there? So, I mean, I feel like you just answered the question. You just make it personal.
It's just maybe robust, more robust is the right word. I'll give you an example. So when someone goes through the estate planning process, they get to decide whether they want their typically children or beneficiaries to receive an inheritance outright or in a trust. And on some of the online versions, if a customer says, I want my child to receive their inheritance, they're young, they're financially immature, whatever reason, I want them to receive it in a trust. Typically, that kind of typical online software says, well, give me an age when they can have it. But in My Advocate, the customer can select an age or ages or so many years after you pass away, or set up a monthly distribution after the client dies. The client could have set, or customer could have set up their estate plan so that a beneficiary gets a monthly amount until the inheritance runs out, or a monthly amount that's adjusted for inflation, or it can go into a special needs trust. So all those kind of robust options are part of our My Advocate platform, where you just don't see that in any of the other online platforms.
So this online platform, My Advocate, I'm wondering, can others be a part of this? Are you branching out to others for this?
Yeah. That's a good question, and answers a resounding yes. How others can benefit and participate. So we have a product that's real strong for the financial advisors. The financial advisors who are listening, my guess is that you're all trying to figure out how to differentiate yourself from your competitors. So our product has been set up so that financial advisors can have more engagement with their clients on the estate planning process. So we also know that that consumers out there, some are comfortable working online in a self-directed platform. Others want a little bit of attorney help. And there's still a large number of people out there who say, I want an attorney. And I want an attorney to start with me from scratch and guide me through the whole process.
Sure.
So My Advocate is building those relationships with attorneys. Yes, we're getting the audience and we're getting the customers, but we recognize that many of the people who want to take advantage of the My Advocate platform, they want attorney support or attorney guidance. So part of what I want to do in this podcast is invite attorneys out there who want to kind of grow the estate planning work that they do to contact My Advocate, start a relationship, start a conversation, and we'd be happy to show you how My Advocate, even though it's built as an online platform, can help attorneys enhance their existing practice.
Absolutely. That's a huge enhancement to grow their practice, because it's just another basket you can put your eggs in.
Right.
That's what it sounds like. You're reaching a completely different crowd who might not want to be in person, especially during COVID. Is that what spurred this whole thing, was COVID?
COVID was a big part of it from my end. I was, sitting at home all day, every day, doing my work from home thing. And so, yeah, this was just a a perfect fit for those. What do we do during COVID when we can't meet face to face with people, especially at the beginning of COVID? So there's that avenue of attorneys having a relationship with my advocate. We welcome those conversations. The other aspect of attorney involvement, as I can tell you from my YouTube channel and just from my experience, every attorney sometimes gets a request to perform legal services, but maybe that potential client can't afford the customary attorney expense. So for those attorneys who they're talking to people and maybe that particular prospective client is very, very cost conscious, referring to my advocate is a way for the attorney to benefit financially and really accommodate those kind of not so perfect fits for the attorney experience. And maybe Jack can speak a little more to that if you're up for it, Amy.
Absolutely, please do.
I think so far one of the biggest issues that we're trying to tackle as a company is so few Americans actually have an estate plan, and we really believe it's rooted in. We know there's a level of procrastination. It's the top of the list of the things you may not necessarily want to do. But the other component is really, there's a piece that's access. I know Paul used to get calls every day. Hey, can you do my estate plan for $200? And Paul goes, I'd love to, but I can't serve you at that price. Or people who just, so there's a great opportunity to do a handoff for clients that it may not make sense to. But the other part of it is increasing so that's the access piece. But the other part is education. The law industry, just the way that it's structured, it's a lot of small family practices, small estate planning firms. No one's got that big budget to educate Americans on the importance. So you don't know how important it is until something in your life happens.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
And so what can we do to help people become more proactive? And I don't think the future of estate planning is all online. And I don't think the future of estate planning is all attorney driven. I think that there's going to be this hybrid solution that emerges where you might get this really lightweight touch of an attorney, or you might do it all on your own if you feel really comfortable and you want to have a lower cost solution. And there might be this middle ground where there's a little bit of attorney, back and forth customization. And then there's going to be estates that you really require the expertise of an estate planning specialist. And so we really want to, as Paul mentioned, build out a solution that meets each of those individual requirements. And we would love to have a partnership with attorneys across the United States to make sure that in each state we have a solution and an offering to be able to provide people where these attorneys are able to confidently serve them and they get to solve their estate objectives.
Absolutely. I mean, this is fantastic. I can see the benefit. Absolutely, because it's reaching the crowd that can't necessarily afford a trust or even a will sometimes. And so instead of the attorney saying, sorry, I can't, go at that price, you're going to have to go somewhere else like LegalZoom or something, and then screw up your own estate plan. Don't do that. It's the attorney will finally have something in their pocket to offer these potential clients. Say, whoa, don't go anywhere else. I can still help you. And this is going to be a more affordable price. It won't be as customized. However, don't go to somebody else. Don't do it on your own. I can still help you. That is amazing.
And on the other hand, there's going to be people that we're not able to serve, and we want to have relationships so that we can go, hey, we've vetted this person. They're amazing. Why don't you go and have this more custom curated experience with a specialist?
Great. I can definitely see the benefit for both the client and the attorney. It's a little bit more money in their pocket for the attorney, and the client will get the help that they need at the price that they can afford. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited, and we really hope that some of the attorneys listening to your channel will reach out to us. And I'll follow up with you just to make sure that in the description for this podcast, they've got an easy link where they can sign up, and we'll reach out to them directly and schedule a call just to tell them a little bit more about My Advocate and establish a partnership, hopefully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we wrap up this podcast, was there any last tidbits that you guys wanted to add?
Amy, I think you were a great leader and you asked the good questions. So I think we're good. I'm good here.
Oh.
Absolutely. And thank you for hosting us, Amy, Bambiz. We're really excited and hope that you'll have us back soon.
Absolutely. You're always welcome back. And yes, after this podcast, for those who are listening, please scroll down and click on the link that Jack will be providing, because this is such an excellent service for both your law firms. And just think of how many more people you'll be able to help, how many more people you'll be able to serve. Instead of saying, I can't help you, just take that frustration of so many people going online and trying to do their own estate planning and turn lemons into lemonade. That's what you can do with it. Click on the link. It's going to help so many more people and put a little bit more money in your pocket. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Law Growth Podcast, the place to be for all things marketing for elder law and estate planning law firms. If you liked this podcast, please leave us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. If you'd like to outsource your marketing to our team, go to bambiz.net and book a free call with us today.